Yeah.
Guess we'll call the meeting to order. Excuse me. Go through the agenda. Item 24217, approval of the agenda.
Need to add anything? Mr. President, I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? We go on to 24-218, open forum. We have one that would like to speak. What is the time? 3 minutes?
3 minutes.
3.
You may speak freely to us. We
Speak
do
freely?
not have to answer questions, but you can have 3 minutes.
I don't need that long.
All right.
I just would like to ask that all the board members please speak up because I'm getting older and somehow I might not hear the low tones of the men, and especially when you're talking to each other, if we could still hear what those comments are as the public. So I just respectfully ask that you speak up when you're talking about anything. Thank you.
There we go. We will move on to 24-219, and thank you. Approval of the minutes for March 18th, regular meeting, April 2nd, the special meeting, and April 11th, special meeting.
Can we just go discuss all the consent agenda and just approve it all as one? You want to do that?
So, yeah. I called them all out.
Okay. I mean, talk about payment of claims and stuff too.
No.
You want to do one at a time?
Yeah, don't you?
We can do it all at once.
Okay, well, you payment of claims, accept donation money from the Dwayne and Cheryl Burbis Charitable Fund, Family Charitable Fund, and accept donation from Central Links for the Girls Performance Initiative Grant for $1,500 to Girls Golf. I'm gonna start it out on payment of claim.
Good. That's good.
I got page 3 and page 20 for idea cash. Is that a run over an extra month or?
That's our monthly phone fee. It might have gone up a little bit because of the added phones and everything that we've added through.
But we got two months of bills on 1 month? Cause we got 2 of them for the same one. There's one's $3 difference than the other one. We got one on page 3 and one on page 20.
Yes,
Yeah.
so the first one was March 12th,
Okay.
the second one was April 11th, sorry.
Okay. And I got another one on page 6 for State Wrestling Room Hotel. I don't know how many kids went down and I don't know how many people went with them, but I got a total of about $6,300 for motel rooms.
And it was 1 day longer than usual.
Did our wrestlers stay the second day?
That I couldn't tell you.
Well, we could not cancel in time to get
Okay.
anything back.
And
So,
yes, they did.
Yeah, they
stayed down
did
and
stay,
watched
but
the whole, because it's a different type of a tournament,
Mhm.
and to see how it all played out.
yeah, and there was we weren't eliminated in time to
Get checked out.
get checked out.
Fine, how many people went down? Did you go for, you had them for 3 days, right?
Yes.
Okay, that
That
answers,
was cheerleaders.
It's cheerleaders.
that answers a lot
Yeah.
right there.
Sponsors.
I was thinking it was a day longer.
Mhm.
So-
Things were more expensive because
Yeah,
They have 1 through 4A
Yeah.
in Salina, so it was,
They jacked it.
Okay.
Can jack it up.
and the third day was a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, I got Jeff Sampson. I don't know what page it is, but you got a lot of office stuff. And we got chairs on here numerous times for office chairs. Can that stuff all go on insurance?
Yeah.
Okay,
It is.
okay. Just making sure. I'm happy as well. Anybody else?
Yeah, I got a question. I mean, it's, I don't know where it's at here about Methodist Church.
Oh, yeah.
For utilities, have we settled up with the Methodist Church for the rental?
no, what we're doing, we gotta get, we talked to the insurance adjuster about that, and we have to get, what he was talking about is they typically ask for a bill from the church, and I need to, but he's gonna clarify that to know, because we told him the church really wants it to be a donation. So he's getting that clarified with his people on that.
Is it up to us to make a decision of how much the rental should be?
I think that's what the church was preferring for us to do. Because they wanted it to be a donation. What we're getting into is they're nonprofit. So having renting it out to us and getting a profit from them kind of hurts that status for them. What we're running into then is that's what the insurance company really wants
Is a
for
bill.
is a bill.
Did you suggest a number to them?
Yeah,
For the insurance?
I suggest, I don't have the exact number, but what I did is I took the amount per classroom that we're paying to the for the modulars, which was about $945 a month, and we had 11 classrooms for seven months. That was around $70,000.
Fair enough.
Pretty good rental.
It is.
They might want to do it.
I didn't know how else
No
to.
wonder they want us.
And I honestly, I don't know that
I
I've
mean,
talked
you
to
can't
them
pass
about
the
that.
number.
Say that
Everybody
out
just.
loud,
That's probably more income than they got annually.
I didn't know how else to do it fairly. To say, I don't want to like undervalue them or anything.
And what's it gonna take to resolve it then?
We got to hear back from the insurance company if they.
How to handle the
Pay
transfer.
it without a
Yeah.
bill,
Yeah,
like an invoice.
Mhm.
They can, if the insurance can pay it without being invoiced from the church.
It'd make it a lot easier. I can remind the adjuster of that, see if he's asked about it.
because they usually deal with incurred costs, and not done. Yeah, that's where we ran into the
But we
snag.
paid the utilities every month for the church.
They charge us the difference, right, Emily? I think that's how they were doing that.
Split up between the church and the room.
Basically, we told them we'd pay above and beyond what they would normally pay.
Ladies, gentlemen,
Tell us about these donations.
pardon?
Tell us about these donations that we're so grateful for.
So the Verbus family one, they've done that ever since I've been here. We just put that in Friends of Rollins or USD 105. And then the Central Links, For girls golf, that was the one Jeff mentioned last month.
Help with startup costs, I think. With that.
Motion?
Mr. President, I move to,
Everybody done with questions, I should say? Terry, you good?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay, sorry.
I'll move to accept the consent agenda.
I second that.
There's been a motion to accept, and a second, all those in favor? All opposed? We will move on to discussion request to be on the agenda. Deb Minkler has requested to be on the agenda to discuss.
Hi, I just thought I would come and give you guys some slides and information. That grant workshop I put on a month ago, and I had 18 people there, and it seemed like the community was very grateful for it. So I printed all of the slides off today for you guys and thought I would hand them out to you. There's information on websites that you can get grants off of. There's how to write grants, there's stuff from Hanson, there's stuff from Bird City, ACE, and I just thought that maybe that would help you guys in the future some. If you have questions, I'm always here, but I know that a lot of people that came just learned a lot, so I just thought I'd come and hand this out to you guys, and hopefully it will help. And then there was a new grant today that I also printed off. It's from Patterson. It's not to help with infrastructure, but it is to help with supporting their school staff. So it's grants for education, training, certification of unlicensed teaching staff. So I thought maybe that would help you guys too with just any hiring, or if there was paras or anybody that would like to move up and can't quite afford to do the schooling. So that application closes May 17th. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. I know I didn't get the $2 million one, but I winged that in 2 days. So I could probably help you with this one, but I did write one to Patterson today, and we just granted $70,000 one, and ACE was just granted that to help with their match month. So Patterson I'm kind of getting familiar with, so if there's any teachers or you guys need any help, just let me know. So I don't know how to do this, they're all in here, so I don't want to bombard you guys, but the top ones, this one is the one from Patterson that I printed off, just so you can go to the website. So, and then these are, this one right here is the funding sources. So there's different ones, and there is a name crossed off on there. Is my time up? I was like, geez, I don't have to know.
Sorry about that.
You're fine.
Was that loud enough, Captain?
It's supper time, no. There's one name crossed off in here because he is deceased, so Carol didn't realize that he was deceased, so we crossed that name off. And it's for the USDA one, but I just contacted the lady today, so I did find a contact if you guys have questions with USDA. So. And then right here, this is what I printed off. One of them got ripped because it got caught in the wind. I apologize. But this one is the grant writing made easy. So there's like 50 pages, and I think there's enough for Lacey and Jeff too. I think that's 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I'd count. That's what I asked you today. So there should be enough. Oh, and yeah, for Eric too. So I don't know this. I think this might help you guys to answer questions. It seemed to be very helpful. So I just thought I'd come and bring all of these to you guys to see, and then that way I felt like maybe that will help you guys in the future or right now, or if you have any questions. And then I don't know if you want me to, since we're live, if you want me to say this, but I did get the balance of your guys' USD 105 fund as of March. I think there's more money that didn't get reported on my portal, but by the time I emailed, it was after 6 and nobody's in the office, so I can always email you probably the April update. So do you want me to give this to somebody, or do you want me to read it? I mean, I guess it's all donations that went into that that we're still getting for you guys. The USD 105 Buffalo Strong account we started. People are still sending.
With the ACE Foundation?
Mm-hmm. People are still sending donations in. So there's $208,574.98. I'm thinking that there should be $40,000 more. So if I'm right, don't quote me, but that's why I think the portal didn't get updated. There should be 248,574.98. So I'll give this to. There it is. So that's all I wanted.
Did you say it's 248, 574?
Yeah, I'm thinking there should be 248,000. I'll email you, Eric, tomorrow, so to let you guys know. And just remember that is like unrestricted funds. So at any time, if you need to dip into that to, pay something that insurance isn't paying, or, help with even the church. I know you want to use insurance money, but anything that can help you, just let us know. So I just thought I'd pass all those resources on and hope that it helps you guys and just help you further, and maybe that Patterson grant will help your staff too to,
That's an incredible amount of money.
Yeah.
So just let me know, but, do you guys have any questions?
Thanks for
So
everything.
is that what, sorry, is that something that you would be willing to help us with? Like, say next time we try to apply for the Hanson grant, or, I know there's specific things that, did we have a professional grant writer when we did the Dane Hanson? Or was that something you guys just wrote in? I don't know how they work. I don't know anything about
We wrote
grants,
it, and then SPT and the town had to flip it too. They gave us some suggestions.
Is that something you would be willing to help us with when it?
I work with Hanson and Patterson pretty much all the time, so a lot of my grants that I have completed and got approved were from Hanson. Like I said, the Patterson 2 million one, I was bummed, but it's life. Part of writing grants, so.
Is that right here? That's
that, now that Patterson one is the one that
This is for the educators?
The education, so if there's teachers that have questions about it, or anybody that would like to use it, just reach out to me, or come down to my office. You guys know where my office is now. Right there, where
I do.
Wiener's building,
Okay.
I'm not in the laundromat. People think I wash clothes all day. I guess I could.
If you're
Wanna drop
taking
your laundry
donations.
off in some quarters, I guess. I can wash your laundry while I'm at it. I do it all the time, so. But come and see me and I can help you guys. But yeah, I'm willing to answer questions, help you, do whatever you need. I'm missing a grant thing tomorrow because my son has his track meet, and I found out it was canceled, but probably maybe canceled. So I was like, but it's fine. But I'll help you guys in any way I can. Or there's other people I know. Out there. And then I also know that you guys are working on your school bond, and this is completely up to you, but I do have a friend. Her name is Stephanie, and she lives in Johnson County in Kansas, an attorney in Johnson County. So there's a few people that maybe could help you guys, or if you even had simple little questions that you needed answered. So I can always give you her, she told me I could give her, or give you guys her phone number or email. So if you want that, I can pass that on to you too. But she said she's more than willing to even drive out here for free and help you guys for free, because she doesn't charge. She said, I just do this she calls it fun. I don't know how she thinks it's fun, but she's the CEO of one of the chambers in Johnson County. So, but that's all I came to talk to you guys about. So I'm always here if you need me, and if you need any other resources, just let me know. I'll pass them on to you, Eric or Emily or whoever, Jeff, Lacey. So that's all.
All right,
Thank you, appreciate it. Very good information. Anybody got any questions for us? You good, Anna?
Yeah,
Okay. We'll go on to old business. How's this old business?
I was 3 weeks. Some pretty big decisions, and so I thought it was important that we come and Barry and Eric are already planning on being here. Talk about the demolition pieces, but just have a conversation about what does need to happen in the next 3 weeks. May 8th is the deadline for when we need to get information to Piper Sandler to put the bond documents together so they can get into the state. If you want to have any vote in August at all. And so I guess we need some direction on what it's going to take you guys to get comfortable with making some recommendation or decision. I will say I want to give you an update on the survey. I think it's on the next slide there. we have 120 responses in, 124. For option one with the 712, there's been 17.4% or 17.74% yes in support of that. For option two with the K-12 building, 68%. Support both options is 11%, and do not support either option is 2%. And most everybody that has responded is a property owner, resident in the district area. So I don't know if we're going to get to the same number of surveys that we did last time, because last time we sent out a postcard and we did some other things, but certainly ending up with very similar results to what we did see last time. And that was giving them the mill numbers and tax increases and all that associated with this. So I guess need some idea. Is there other information or that we need to provide, or is there something that we need, other options that we need to provide dollar-wise to help you guys make a decision in the next 3 weeks? From there, you have any questions about that, or you want me to keep going?
I got a question. On the size of the classrooms, how many students did you base the size off of?
We based it on what we typically do for high school of this size. And so, I mean, if you wanted to say how many would fit in there, it's 700, it's
pretty well 800 square feet.
I mean, you could get up to 30 in there if you wanted, 30 to 35, but you're never going to put that many in there. And part of it too is you don't just want to cram everybody in a room. You want to give them flexible teaching areas. So that's the other part that we tried to accommodate. I did look at, what if you took out 100 square feet per classroom, and what would that look like? And I think, and I didn't do that out of the elementary school classrooms because we kept them the same size as they are here. But I did out of the middle school, which the middle school and high school. And you could probably save about $700,000 by taking 100 square feet out of those. So there's ways to get it down. The high school, like 20 foot by 35, which are similar to what you have for the portable modular classrooms. And then the ones for the elementary, we use the size of the existing classrooms here.
Well, I guess what got me questioning it was when this was built in 1965, the number of students enrolled compared to what's enrolled today. And the same way with the high school. So it would be direction I'm going in, and that's just throwing out an opinion now. It's all it is. If we cut back from the 25,000 and cut back 20%, that's 5,000 square feet.
You're not going to get 5,000 square feet out of classrooms that you could get. I mean, you could maybe take 100 square feet out of each of the classrooms. You might get half of that, but I don't think you're going to get 5,000.
Well, I got to ask, why couldn't you get it? I mean, it's based on the size and dividing up a building.
Because if you have to account for circulation space and other things like that. So if I took that 700 square foot classroom and I took, you said 20% out of it?
Well, they mowed all of them, mowed 700, more like 800.
No, not on the most recent one, but I think, you could get down to 600 square foot of classroom, but I don't think you're gonna like it at the end of the day. So
I agree.
Back in the old days, they had us crammed in there.
Yeah.
Sure you did.
Row after row after row. I mean, we were one of the last big classes. We had 63 kids in our class. We're divided up in 2 classes, of course, so that put 35 in the classroom, but we were basically elbow to elbow.
Yeah, you're crammed in there.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the trends. Our population is declining. It's not growing. it's gonna continue to decline because we're a rural county. If the population declines, our school enrollment's gonna decline.
But that hadn't been the trend over the last 10 years, right?
Up into this year, I mean, we've gained 60, 70 kids at least.
I'd rather the classroom size stay bigger and sacrifice the gymnasium size. I mean,
I don't think so. 'Cause
I'm just saying that we're a school. I'd rather see
yeah,
the
but the
classroom
gym is
size
the
stay
most
bigger.
utilized space in a school.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying if I had, it's just an opinion
Sure.
about if you had to sacrifice one or the other, I'd rather keep the classroom size bigger and sacrifice the gym.
I guess my question is, if you've got 78% of your people saying they support this at the numbers that we provided, what number do you want us to get to that you think they won't support, that they'll support better? I mean, it's, if you got 78%, you got the, can you move back to that other first page? If you got 68.55 plus 11, that's 79, that's 80% saying that they would support a K-12 building at the 24 mil.
Area that maybe we don't know as much about, but I know as a principal and former teacher that I don't want my classrooms any smaller than they are right now. It's going to be really hard for all of our teachers to downsize 200 square foot that they're used to having.
I'm just making a point again. When you talk about 55 square foot per child, I mean, 6 by 8 is 48. That's just hard to imagine.
But that's not just what's needed for a desk. That's what's needed for like a flexible learning environment that gives teachers options on how to teach. They can set up some collaborative learning spaces inside their room. They can have just teaching desk area. Allows them to do things they couldn't do otherwise.
Greg, I have a question. Is there, without a lot of work putting into it, but could you model like one classroom with maybe a couple situations?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want you to waste a bunch of time on just a question. And that way it gives an overhead, a visual of it.
Okay.
Maybe that's stupid. It's just an idea.
I mean, a lot of that stuff can be kind of worked out. I mean, basically until you start digging holes in the ground and putting walls up, can it? I mean,
well,
to a point. I mean, I'm not saying it all has to be
but it's not hard
decided by the
couple
bond.
weeks to give you an idea.
I'm saying if you do it at the exercise and then show a sample of with it cut off, it gives you a visual. Everybody's visual for the most part on it, and it just gives you an overhead view and takes the argument out of size difference.
I will say I was just at Heston Schools. We're doing that project, and they're in the construction phase and of the high school, and we put similar sized classrooms there than what we have shown here. And honestly, I would not want to go smaller than that, because I was a little like, okay, is this too small already? And so there does become a limit on
Well, because then when I went in and measured the classrooms, you have to take into account, like, we measured it inside of the closets, like that's technically it, because then you're going to build in like where the lockers or the cubbies or whatever, and that's your wall size, and then you're losing more space because you're putting in built-ins or shelving or whatever too. Like, I think it's all going to start to close in, like, like when you start building a house, like this is where the wall's supposed to be, but then they're 6 inches thick, and like all of a sudden, like you start getting
your cabinets taking out of that space and all that. Yeah.
I mean, you could see a representative size by going to the classrooms here, or even if you came up to the modules, you could see a representative size
and how
in action too.
I mean, how do you feel about the size of the classrooms for modulars?
I mean, coming from the high school where they were too small, going to the church in that situation, I mean, I think they're a good size. I mean, they're to be able to move around and, like you said, do different things, and it's
How
I
many
guess
kids-
education anymore isn't just
What's your
standing up in
average
front
of kids in your
lecturing
classroom?
or flowing around.
It's a good space. We can move money.
Great, but I mean, would you want it much smaller than that with 24 students? Yeah, you're
Worst thing we
different.
can do is build it too small.
Exactly.
No tubas or trombones for her
Every
classroom.
quantity. Everybody's put out there. I wish I was 20 foot more, you know. 20 foot more.
I know. That's why Connor's playing it.
Have you, at all the schools you built, have you ever built one too big?
Yeah.
Does anybody ever complain in
It's
the
like,
classroom?
it's like Wiener said, you put up a machine shed and there's no farmer that ever put one up big enough.
It's never big enough.
Yeah.
Never.
I will
You
say it
put
will
one up,
never be
Megan.
less expensive
How's
to
that?
Yeah,
build
Kevin
now.
said it's still not.
Still
Yeah.
not full yet?
Not happy. He's still not happy.
So,
20
Jerry, I don't know
foot
if I
more.
answered your question, but to your point, I don't think we're building these too big, too extravagantly. And so, I think if you want to reduce the overall dollar amount, you can maybe take it out of some other places, not the classrooms.
It's nice to have that in there.
I'm more or less looking at trends. Population declining, school enrollment declines. So the classrooms are gonna get bigger.
Yeah.
I don't want it to turn into 5-10 years down the road and we're going, I wish we would have done.
I mean, I think the other possibility, I don't know if I should mention this too, I don't know, I can speak to this because I really don't know the whole dynamic, let me just put it that way. There's potential that you can consolidate with another school district and bring more students here. And then you're stuck.
Yeah.
And I know, yeah.
You know what we're gonna need? More parking.
So,
I thought you were gonna say cowbell.
and I know
Always more cowbell.
you absolutely do not want to be in a position that Rock Creek is in. They passed a bond issue, they said it was gonna last 20 years. Then they let a bunch of out-of-district students in. And now they're seeing growth within their community that they don't have any room.
Yeah.
And they can't pass a bond issue because they passed one and told everybody it's gonna last for 20 years, and it lasted 2. And so now they're on the heels of, now what do we do? Because we let all these out-of-district students in and we can't kick them out until we make room for the people that are gonna be here.
Have a rose ceremony.
So,
Just split the year up into 2
That's
years. And you can only go to school half
That's
the
right.
year.
Rock, paper, scissors.
I guess to keep going here, on the timeline, so the timeline here, this is just all the other slides on here, what was from last Thursday. I just brought it, had it be pulled up mainly as a reference if you wanted to look at anything. But this shows that, and Barry and Eric will get more into this in a little bit here, but the demolition bid, they're gonna get next Friday, or this Friday. One thing I did want to talk about is how fast you want us to start drawing. Because if you give us the notice to proceed, for instance, around beginning of May, to get doing what we need to do on the design side, then you can start construction, we can start construction in the fall. But if you wait to give us notice to proceed till after the bond vote, then we're gonna be sitting on our hands doing other projects. We're gonna be doing other projects for the next 3 months. And then, we will be starting our drawings in August. We'd be finishing our drawings, you basically would be starting construction in January, February, which is like not a great time to start. And then there's no way you're gonna get anything complete till August of 26. But if you allow it to start sooner, then we can start in the fall, there's a good chance that we'll be able to take possession of some part of the building in the fall or second semester of 25. So either January of 26, or there's a chance we get to go, well, these guys will say, shut up, Greg.
I'm looking for something.
But you're gonna get it to a chance that place is usable next school year at some point. Is that better?
We won't have to wait for you outside the school.
Can I add one thing to your calendar? Just as an FYI, we have our county fair,
Oh, yeah.
July 14th through the 13th through the 18th. And, we're not doing booths this year. Usually we have a booth contest, which is, two clubs against each other every year.
Great.
So,
Megan's making a booth and Lacey's making a booth.
that's right, usually. But we could set up an area to where I'm sure that they'd let us to have a great opportunity for advertisement and information out there.
Yeah. Usually we have this bond campaign go a little bit longer. I mean, it's still 5 weeks if we start,
Right.
1, 2, 3, 5 weeks. So usually it's 4 to 6 weeks. But with it being summer, it can be tough. I mean, even in July with harvest and with vacations and all, and June's pretty much out. So we took that out of the equation. We'll start July 5th. So
Well, at least if
That'd be a
you,
great
whatever
time.
information you have or
no, they'll be ready.
displays or something, then you can.
Yeah.
I'm sure Aaron wouldn't have a problem with.
Yeah.
We'll make a
Okay.
pig's chase him if he doesn't like it.
He said we're gonna have a harvest.
Who said we were gonna have a harvest?
Greg did.
Great.
Instead of having harvest
You're
this
gonna
year.
have to start bringing some of that rain next time you come then.
Okay. I can't control it.
So what do we need to put something together? Do you need to put something together to vote to approve what goes to a bond or what? How do?
Yeah, well, what will happen is that once we know the question or questions that you guys want put on the ballot, then we'll work with Piper Sandler to develop the actual bond question, and that's what you guys approve. So, but it'll be the actual bond question.
So right now, we're just waiting on the survey. Get all that information back but there's nothing we have to act on right this second. Okay.
No, the only reason I'm here tonight is just to say, hey, if there's anything else we need before you guys are comfortable with any of this, you need to tell us now because that May 1 or May 8th, or I guess this is board meeting on May 6th. We just want to make sure you guys have everything you need.
When is the bond?
What's that?
When is the survey done?
22nd.
It was only for 10 days or something, wasn't it?
22nd.
22nd.
We got a schedule, preliminary schedule for the remodeling of the gym in the commons area. When is that anticipated?
They're gonna talk about that after I'm done.
Okay.
Yep. The other thing I need for the next board meeting is typically we do is talk about a kids committee, keep improving district schools, and it's meant to be more community members. The woman spoke at the last Thursday about wanting to be involved. It's those type of people who we want to get a kids committee formed. It can be some board members, it can be staff. We really want it to be as much of the community as possible, but we need about 20 people who are willing to help out with that. And I think you have great community support that probably won't have any problem with that. But if we want to have a couple meetings with that committee in May, and so we just threw out a couple of days as far as May 9th and May 20th on here. This is all, just tentative, just don't know what works for you guys and what doesn't as far as days are concerned. But just want to make sure we have a couple meetings in May with that committee.
I don't know how long it takes, but the 20th is a board meeting night too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're coming up.
Well, if you have kids meeting before the board meeting, you want to be here for that, right?
We'll be here.
Yeah.
Doesn't make me write it down.
I didn't know if Thursdays work or Mondays work.
Is that still tonight? That would be my only concern if you did it on. Some of those things in there tonight.
Yeah. Could be on Tuesdays. It doesn't matter to me.
May 9th.
That thing.
What is May 9th?
League
League track.
Maybe Tuesdays.
Well,
That's probably some other track meet.
that's a music program on the 7th.
You guys come back to us and tell. We don't have to decide this tonight either. I just want to throw it out there. We want a couple meetings in May, and if you guys, I don't know if there's certain people you want to be involved with the kids committee or not. Somehow we need some names and some people that get asked to be a part of that.
Can think of one.
Okay.
I can think of one person.
Don't share your wife.
No, I need her at home.
That's all I have, unless you guys have other questions.
So for the bond question, do you need that on the 8th of May?
No, we need to know on May 6th, if your next, I think, are you planning on having a board meeting there?
That's what Barry talked to me about today.
Oh.
If you're planning, we need to have, at that meeting before May 8th, we need to have that question ready. So before then, we really have to establish what you guys are good with supporting. And then, so before then, what I'd like to have is an understanding of that, to then bring that question for a vote for approval on that May 6th date.
You just need the amount from us for the bond.
And I need to know, is it a 712, it's a K-12, is it two questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we need to have a meeting before then to
do our final vote?
I mean, survey results are on the 22nd, it could be, the 29th or something, I don't know.
23rd.
Yes, as soon as possible.
Who's got the schedule for 22nd through the 26th?
Of April?
Yep.
April's looking better than
We should give them a copy of our school schedule as well.
The 22nd doesn't work for me.
The 22nd doesn't work for you?
Well, that's when they're due, so.
Yeah, we wouldn't want it that anyway.
23rd?
What's the 23rd? Tuesday.
High school
I
golf
know
at Hockey,
that.
junior JV golf at Scott City, high school track at St. Francis.
When's the
So-
24th?
24th is a Wednesday.
I can't do
Just what?
24th.
Church.
He can't.
It's my wife's birthday, and I scheduled a board meeting
So do it.
You will need a very big shop if you.
I did those.
Oh, hell.
Here's my expectation letter.
23rd, I think is Rose's birthday. I have to check on that.
So I guess.
Mine is 23rd, I think. I gotta check on that.
You could have done. Make yourself
Thank
a
you.
note. Put that on that.
Alvina, you've been in trouble before, so.
Yeah, but she's they're stacking up too much. I gotta get some of those brownie points.
All right.
So 24th is out. Where are we at 25th? Thursday, that's gotta be a sport something.
High school golf at Waukegan Junior High track at St. Francis. And that's a day event, but.
You're just gonna have to pick a date and do it. There's not gonna be a good date in May. May sucks
This is
for
April.
everything.
April, but yeah.
We haven't even gotten there.
Yeah, April sucks.
April
Agreed.
29th. What's on the 29th?
For me,
It's a Monday.
Monday.
Okay.
Martin Wood Show,
Yeah, but that's.
JV track,
It's just JV,
Yeah.
not.
junior high track,
On which day?
state effort, so that way.
That'll be junior high.
Junior high and
Just to show,
JV.
like, we
Either
could have
way,
people come look.
my
and
kids
stuff
know I
and
love them if I have to miss something.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And it's gonna be at the opera house.
Do what?
The art show this year is
It's
at
just
the
like a
opera house.
karaoke,
So I mean, it's
The
come and go.
29th wouldn't be horrible.
We gotta put a date sometime.
They all have track days, just pick one. I'll tell my
Yeah.
kids I love them, it'll be fine. I got too many kids to pick around them.
The sooner the better.
Yeah.
Jordan? 29th, motion? Anywhere?
Yep. I didn't even look at my calendar, but it doesn't matter.
Is it your wife's birthday?
29.
Crap.
Our birthday was last month, Jordan.
There you go.
Thanks, Sam.
You're already
Did you
done.
miss it? You are so late.
Matt,
I
29th,
think that,
Never went
Howard.
to ground.
Tim,
29th works for me.
Amber,
Yeah, I don't care.
Huh?
Whatever.
25th?
25th
29th? I don't care.
Thursday.
It's a
Let's do
Thursday.
the 25th.
I think there was.
Somebody make a motion, that's what we need.
Did we, is the 25th
29th?
okay? Or did
They-
somebody
Does
have?
the
Everyone
junior high
didn't
track meet on either one of those two?
Track days on both days.
On either
so
the
just
25th
pick one.
or the 29th.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
the
Then let's just go with
25th.
the 25th. Just
Yeah,
do
I
the
agree.
I
I move,
Yeah, go.
I move that we have.
The 29th one's
schedule
earlier, but.
A meeting on April 25th.
we have a motion to have a meeting on April 25th to decide on a building and a bond number. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second. All those in favor of the 25th
Do we need a time on
of
that?
Yeah,
April?
what time? What time?
I thought you said 6:30.
Okay, 6:30.
Yep, that's what I heard too.
At 6:30, all those in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed?
Alright.
There you go.
It's when you find clean. It'll be in a thingy. It'll be
You
fine.
made a mistake.
They-
That's all I have.
That work for you?
No, I wouldn't.
Thank you.
Well, that
All
was like
right,
pulling
we shall
toenails.
move on. I think we're still part of the same deal. Yep.
I'm a little afraid to ask for another board meeting after that, so table that till the end of this.
Yeah, it's,
Just hit it now.
Yeah.
So,
Get
some of the
that.
information we'll share, you've probably heard some of it's hopefully new, and just some of the research and additional information that we've gathered since we were here the first of the month, which April 2nd, after we were back. April 2nd. So, Eric, if you'll go to the next page. So, I wanted to just kind of start on with what we know. So, since we were brought on board, we've been playing catch up a little bit to figure out where you've been and where we're at now and working with Greg and his team. So, what we know to date on the existing building and from the structural report provided by HDHY, who was the engineer that was a consultant to the insurance adjuster. Essentially, that letter states that, the building is unstable and in a state of ongoing collapse. So we have to treat that as it's an unsafe building, cannot be entered. Caveat with that is that means hazardous materials in there that we cannot go in there and take. So what that means is, from our stance, is that nobody can enter that building safely because we don't know what could potentially happen with that letter that we have from HDH1. So the way that building has to be treated with the hazardous materials in there is that all of that material is then considered hazardous. Even if there's not asbestos 100% in there, it's still considered because it cannot be removed or abated in a proper manner, unfortunately. So special consideration has to be taken place when handling a building of this nature. Wetting of the entire demo area as it is happening and throughout the course of it being on the ground. Really, that's a safety concern to keep any potential airborne debris on your site so that it doesn't get airborne and go off site. Additional special requirements have to be taken where all the workers that could potentially be exposed to that, whether that's respirators or potential Tyvek suits. So it can't just be somebody, two men in a truck going in there and doing this demo. The debris has to be taken to a KDHE certified landfill. Currently, The closest one we're aware of is in Garden City. Now, we understand that's a trek. We're still looking into some other potential options there. The last thing I want to touch on is that chain of custody. Custody has to be maintained from the current state it is in until it reaches its final resting place. So that would be so the school district is responsible for that potential hazardous material from where it's in place now to where it reaches its final resting place. So before I go into where do we go from here, are there any questions with any of that information? I know that's a lot to take in.
Can't fudge any of that?
So that's later down this
I
next
love it
one
when
on
you
where
guys
we go
ask
from
these
here.
questions
So
in open session.
what we're doing right now is we're working with KDHE to get a full grasp on what potential options there are outside of having to take everything from them. But the abatement contractors, demo contractors, we need to make sure everybody is following the proper requirements, meeting all of the laws and regulations. Y'all are familiar with the docking building and the state headlines that it made with rubble being dumped in the Kansas River? That's what we don't want. So we don't want to make the newspaper. We don't want to make the 6 o'clock news. Right?
It's a long way to the Kansas River from here.
I don't disagree with you, Tim. I'm just trying to keep everybody out of trouble.
That's where that chain of custody
That's where that chain of custody
really important, is that even if that is, you hire a trucking company to get rid of it for you, if they dump it in the wrong spot, it's still tied to the district because this is where it originated from.
Yep.
So there's responsibility along that, and this is kind of an important thing as we go through these points here, and we'll dive into this a little bit later of some of this, but that designation is really what's driving this. So we can go further into where do we go from here?
Yeah. I have a quick question. How does that affect the removal of the stones that we'd like to keep?
So, good thing is that's outside of the building, right? In theory, something we haven't run into necessarily with mortar having asbestos into it. You'd be surprised at what materials do actually contain asbestos for the buildings of this age, but that's something that we would have tested prior to being able to fully remove those. I would like to tell you that those stones, we should be able to remove those. The caveat is, and I think Greg touched on this last time, is the age of those stones. We just don't know the current state that they are in. So just curious. Yeah.
The contractors that we're talking with have experience in this type of demolition and salvaging of those stones. And quite frankly, that's part of the conversations that we're having with them, if they're qualified to do that type of work specifically. So barring anything dramatic happening between now and that, to our knowledge, we believe that can still be removed as carefully as possible, palletized, and then saved for the future reuse without taking it out of the pile of rubble.
Fair enough. Thank you.
That's the goal is to save it. Yeah. Another option that we're looking into is finding a third-party structural engineer. They would be working on behalf of the district to evaluate the current state of the building and give us essentially a report, whether or not they would give our blessing that says, hey, this building cannot be occupied from an educational facility, but it is acceptable to go in and do the hazardous material removal. So we're looking into that. Actually, on the way up here, we got a response from an engineer that is willing to look at that. So we've got to make some phone calls back to him, ask some of those more pointed questions to ensure that he fully understands what the ask is of them. We're also waiting on a call back from another engineer that we talked to late last week. So we're trying to turn over every rock to find the best avenue to try to make this work for everybody and not a huge impact.
I do want to elaborate on the third-party structural engineers. The engineer that's been working HDHY, their interest is with the insurance company. There's a little bit of gray area. It's not that gray, but their focus has been on protecting students, kids within the building. It doesn't address the construction side of things. So there's a little bit of a gap there that this third-party structural engineer would fill to clarify those things Plus, it gives you guys that confidence that you have somebody that is not attached to the insurance company that is working on your behalf to be able to weigh in on the situation. We don't expect the result of the demolition of the building to really change based on the condition that we've seen within that. But we're going to let those guys that are experts in their field really dictate that and then provide the actual documentation that would be needed for contractors to be able to get into the building or not into the building. But that's kind of a critical.
Go back to the stone, are the demolition guys going to bid? Let us know exactly what the extra is going to be for the salvaging the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the way, and I'll get to some of that too, but yes, we've asked them to break out that portion of the bid is what that salvaging of that stone and palletizing of that for install in the new building is. So I'll throw out what we would like to do, and there's a little more information in this as we go, but we'd like to bring the demolition bids back to you all on the 6th to discuss those all with you. So that'd be May 6th. You know, as it stands right now with the information that we've learned as we've been diving into this is we do anticipate those costs to be higher than what was previously presented to you prior to our engagement in the project. Just due to potentially some of that additional trucking costs that we were talking about and having to take that all to a KDHE certified landfill.
We have a meeting on the 25th of April.
At 6:30.
Maybe. So we are taking bids on those this Friday.
Yep.
The work that needs to be done between the 19th and whatever that board date ends up being, we need to go work with the contractor, with the bidders, to ensure that the scope is complete, make sure they have a solid plan, and formulate all of that into one package so that it's clear and concise. So we'll have a goal that if we can make that on the 15th or on the 25th, we will do everything we can to make that happen. Worst thing that we can do there is jump the gun and not have all the information complete that we need. So that's why we're coming in on the, we had planned on the 6th. We talked about the 2nd, but it sounds like that's a no-go date too. So the 25th is an aggressive date. I'll be honest with you. It's an aggressive date, but we'll see what we can do. A lot of that's going to come based on the response and the quality of the bidders that we get.
What kind of a percentage increase would you anticipate, or do you even have
It's honestly too early to tell at this point. We need some clarity from the bidders on this. Really, they have a responsibility to go work with the final resting place, the landfills, to figure out, can it all go to one place? Do they have to break it up? So they are the qualified bidders. I know there's been a lot of discussion around what is a qualified bidder. That's part of that qualification that they need, is to be able to determine what is the appropriate place for that, and the trucking costs that are associated with that. So,
how many bids do you anticipate to have?
Well, right now we've had 6 kind of active and engaged contractors. There's been some interest from some others that could be as many as 9, could be 3 by the time it's all said and done. We're optimistic because the bidders that we have been chatting with have been interested, and this is their jam. This is what they do. So the good part is when you get that many bidders in it, that generally means that there's a competitive market. So we're cautiously optimistic on it.
If we do the third-party engineer, what kind of cost are you looking at there? And when can we have it done? Have you got that far yet?
So at first glance, it's probably just under $20,000. That's to get them out there out of Denver, is where this company is that we found. They actually specialize in fire damage structures, so that was one of the reasons we did reach out to them as well. For the first portion of it, it was, don't quote me on this because I'm trying to remember out of the emails we were driving down the road. It was about $9,500 to come in, travel expenses, and their report was all part of that $9,500, and then there was a separate $5,000 to $7,000 to also look at the best way to take that phase one, which on the next two slides I'll show you the phase one demolition of that existing weight room / old wrestling room, and what the best method to remove that structure so we can get the two buildings separated and begin the work in the existing gym and locker rooms and south addition and everything. So.
We need to continue to work with that company to make sure that the scope is correct and that they're not duplicating work that's already been completed. So,
do you need approval for that third-party engineer? What do you need from us to?
At this point, I don't believe we do. That's probably on the 25th date is when that one would come back, where we can have better clarity on that one as well.
We got to ask some of those additional questions and dive into it more. We just got that information.
I mean, if the board's comfortable, I mean, I can communicate with you too if it's under the 20,000. I mean, I have that authority as well.
I think, personally, I think an update, just kind of on what they have to say in general would be important for the board.
Yeah. Any other questions before we move into phasing? No.
You look so excited.
And Eric, I'll ask you to actually go to the next slide because it probably tells a better story than that previous one. And I'm gonna stand up on this one. So we've broken this out into essentially 3-ish different phases. So the priority is phase one. That's the existing weight room / old wrestling room that we need to separate in order to be able to enter in the gymnasium locker room and start the renovation work in there. So the way we've asked the bidders to break this out, as you'll see, is all these different phases essentially. So phase one is that area I just touched on. Phase two is the existing high school, and then phase three, which is currently an alternate, is the south newest addition there. So. And we also have the renovation in here, so we'll have all that cost broken out as well. That's currently how that demo schedule is phased out, what that looks like right there. Does that make sense to you all? Are there any questions on that? And I don't know if you've already, did you get this, were you able to get this PowerPoint out to
the board?
To the board.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So Eric has this PowerPoint as well, and so he'll share that out. So as you're looking at it, if you think of other questions, please reach out, and we're more than happy to answer them.
So the first phase is a buffer zone between the gym.
Correct.
And the reason that is phase one is to separate that building from the gym to allow that gym renovation work to proceed as soon as that separation is completed.
Has that got to be hauled or removed before you can go to work on the gym?
So this is a little bit where it gets a little bit backwards because, and where the structural engineers report would be really useful is if they can determine what areas within phase 1 and 2 are part of that don't go in their zone. If they can dictate that phase 1 area is able to be occupied, then that creates a different set of requirements, right? Then we can go in and get that abated kind of normally and then do normal demolition with that. This is where we may need to do a little bit of cost analysis to determine, is that worth the schedule impact if that delays that? Ideally, you want to, if the goal here is let's get the gym online, you would start with phase 1, the buffer zone, get it removed so that would release the gym. If you're doing this to try and be as cost effective as possible, you would start at phase 2, tear down the majority of the damaged building, leaving the phase 1 area intact that is structurally sound, and go in and abate that area normally, and then you'd have lower demolition costs. So kind of two different approaches based on what are the goals that you're trying to accomplish here. Do you want the gym fast, or do you want to be cost effective on the demo? So our first direction here is let's get the gym online, while we want to keep an eye on what's the value of that phase one demolition.
But we don't have to remove all the, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we have to remove all the material in phase one, right? We just have to get it down so it's separated.
It has to be removed
It has
as
to be
well
removed?
because it's intermingled with asbestos containing materials. So once that becomes in a pile, then it's really difficult to
Well, and I
distinguish.
thought we had talked about the fact that if we, by starting with that phase one, we would know what the stability of the gym and everything was, correct? Or has that changed?
The gym, as in the
big
existing gym?
The big gym, yeah.
And once that tie is severed, then the gym can be freestanding, and you just have to have enough space so that if the building does collapse, it doesn't damage the existing gym.
So why do we have to take out all the material in phase one in order to work on the gym?
Because it can't be abated before the demolition takes place.
There's
But
that.
if unless your third party guy comes in and says they can go in and clean it up, and then they can, then they go in and scrape that crap off the ceiling and be done with it.
Are you not gonna, that if that makes sense to me, you're gonna tear down phase two, have abated material that has to be taken out. How does that affect the integrity of the gym?
It doesn't necessarily affect the integrity of the gym. It's access. So as long as the three buildings are connected,
right,
we're not able to go in and do those renovations or do any demolition because of that line with that statement within the HDHY report that says can't be occupied until the buffer zone is removed. So that's where we need that structural engineer's dictation that says no students but construction workers. We need that clarification from them.
At one point, there was where we would have to keep that area if we were going to just tear down phase two area. That a temporary wall would have to be installed because there is not a wall there to hold it up. It's part of the big main building. So would that still have to be done?
Maybe. This is where we need that.
Essentially, when you tear down the building, the main building, it's gonna take down the roof of the phase one anyway.
Yeah, potentially.
So
unless there's a natural break in the structure that they can be separated that way, but
we
need
attached.
If you take the roof off the weight room,
It's
that's
gonna
the
be a
only
very
break.
intricate process because it bears, weight room
It's
bears
basically
on the-
infill.
So
I mean, that was basically sorry.
No, go ahead.
But I'm just continuing on with what you're saying is, like you were saying, if we were gonna keep that phase one area, they'd have to come in and build the wall.
A temporary wall.
Temporary wall,
To
tear
build-
it down, and
to
then
build
build
a
a
new
new
wall.
wall.
Yes.
And it was gonna cost too much, so it'd be easier to just tear down.
Correct.
phase
So
one. That's the report that we got.
Correct.
Yeah.
Prior. So
I think that was developed in November, which we got that information.
correct. So to summarize it, I guess, and what I'm gathering is the importance of that third-party engineer to say, yes, we can get in and start moving forward is probably more important than what we realize at the time. Because if he gives the approval, and it's a catch-22, because if he says no, then you're still tied to it. But if he says yes, then that allows us to take that step a little bit quicker. Is that what I'm gathering?
That's exactly right.
But if he says that we can and the other guy says we can't, how does that fight?
He's signing it off on his.
He's taking the liability of it.
Yeah.
That's right.
That third party is. That's where it's.
That's also why it costs so much.
I mean,
And the first guy didn't address construction work.
yeah, I think that's what's important here, the difference between the insurance company's report and what you're hopefully going to get from this third party is that the insurance company didn't address anything beyond students and district employees.
I mean, kind of from what I remember with DCS, I mean, they were kind of saying that they could go in there and work
even,
But I don't know that they got the official word.
even the insurance guy made the statement, again, I realize it's not on paper, he made the statement that it was, he goes, contractors can be in here because it's at their liability. It's a catch-22, whatever you want to call it, but it's on their insurance, it's on their, but contractors could be in there, it wasn't, they just said there's absolutely no student staff. Because knowing the entire, all of it actually.
Yeah.
Like if you're a contractor and you're in there, it's on your insurance, but if you're to go in there, anybody else is going there, it's on the school's insurance.
They would verbally tell us that, like, they always say qualified contractors. Well, you'd ask what a qualified contractor is, and they said it's a contractor deciding if they're qualified or not. And then you would ask them to even put that on paper. They won't ever put it on paper.
I understand that, so I say it was just in discussion.
Yeah.
They were very specific about their wording in that report to shift that liability from themselves to the qualified contractor that needs to have the knowledge and the know-how to operate in that building. And if there's structural reinforcements that need to take place, that's on that contractor to handle that.
Sure. So again, that goes back to the third party of saying the importance of that third party is seemingly rising really quick.
Can't have a bigger impact than I think what was understood at the time. So while it does seem like a large amount to spend on a consultant, our role in this is to continue to refine that scope and make sure that it's appropriate for the amount of work that they're doing. Again, we don't want them going in there and evaluating the building if it can be reused or repurposed anything. It's pretty clear that the building's coming down anyway. Now it's just how do we do that? So. Yeah.
Did he just say repurposing?
So that was kind of sight unseen. So now we'll work to refine that and be back in front of you with that request.
Put crash test dummies in it and knock the building down and use it for rescue operations.
Right.
Would that change anything with the insurance then? Like, I know that you just talked to insurance last week, but it's one of those, I know whoever the people you talked to, the AC, whatever, they're taking care of them. Right, I get it, but now you got there's a possible third party coming into play and say, you know what you quoted for demo, or you know what I mean, we've got.
I think if it was more, we would go back to the insurance company and say,
that's what I'm saying.
We've got people who are actually here to do that.
Do we have that option to go back after?
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
We would encourage that.
Yeah, just saying, help bonds and no one, just.
I guess
they'll say that where we could go with it, because they'll say, well, the phase one, is structurally okay, but where we could say the phase two is way higher, that's the angle we'd have to go on.
Yeah.
Because the phase one really is on the district, because we've made that decision that.
The big question is, how quick we want in the gym?
Right. Let's run through the schedule here and kind of lay this out for you. We've also had some new information, so what you're going to see is not totally accurate yet.
Oh, more bad.
Let's go ahead and go to that one. What'd you say? No more bad news?
No more bad.
It's not any more fun than our shoes.
So what this is showing is us receiving proposals for the demolition this Friday. We will do everything we can to try to make that 25th date. No guarantees, but what this would show is worst case coming back on May 6th and presenting all that information to you. We'd ask for approval at that time to move forward, if demo contractor on board. And then Eric, if you scroll down a little bit. So what that would put us working towards is mobilizing towards the end of May to begin that process. That would hopefully, with the schedule and talking with some of these demo folks, is they're not going to commit to it in writing, but this does fit in their schedule in probably the middle of June. So from that aspect, that was good news. The other thing that this, if you scroll down a little more, Eric, sorry. So this shows that building separation essentially starting in July, first part of July. What that then allows us to do with that separation is then get in the existing gymnasium, do a hazardous building material survey, which we'll talk about here. That in yellow, you see that temporary main distribution panel for the electrical, that shows the end of the year. That's a worst case scenario, reaching out to some trades that we work with on a regular basis because they knew 600 amp main distribution panel for electrical service is a 6-month lead time. However, with being here today, we just learned some good news that there is an 800 amp distribution panel sitting in the current locker room that we just found out about.
And where?
In the existing locker rooms.
Oh, really?
So we're going to make a call to understand what the specs of that are so that we can provide that to the electrical engineer and figure out how we can incorporate that in instead of having to wait that 6 months for a brand new panel and see what that looks like. So that's why when Barry says this information is out of date, it is literally out of date as of an hour ago because of new information.
Where in the world do they have an 800 amp in locker rooms?
It got purchased when we were
trying to get it.
And they were pushing to get
So it's
that.
not hooked up to anything.
No, it's
No.
brand new.
So that's we just
Gary Soko found it, and he's.
No, that's fine. I was trying to place it in the locker rooms. Going, I don't remember that ever being in there.
I believe we talked about it.
It was like in
And said,
September.
yeah, get
I
it
remember
here.
Gary getting stuff rounded up.
Yeah.
There you go. We got a win.
So we're gonna go try and work with Greg and his team to
we're gonna go try to
figure that out.
make that work. So we're gonna have to report back again to you what that looks like. Still dealing with some
It's kind of square, big.
Yeah. Still dealing with some unknowns though, as far as the goal is from a temporary to get you back in. It won't be 100% complete if we can get it up and operational right. That's the goal. So still unknowns are as far as what the rest of the electrical service in that building is and what potentially we may have to do once we do flip that switch in power. So.
Just as long as it's not another fire.
Why you gotta even say that, man?
Call it like it is. Not good enough.
Fair enough. So,
Best case scenario.
yeah. So, is it? I'm not gonna sit here. I want to be as transparent as I can. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you you're gonna be in it in August when you start school. But the hope is before the end of the year that is at least up and operational to where you can use it. Any questions as it pertains to schedule? Once we have a chance to talk with Gary and get with PEC, we'll get this schedule updated and additional information so that we can present that next time we're out here to y'all. Okay. Go to the next slide, Eric. There's a way to zoom out. So the other thing we wanted to bring y'all is like to do a hazardous building materials survey in the existing gym and the locker rooms and the south classrooms to understand that are we dealing with any hazardous materials in that facility as well. So we received 2 proposals, one from Paradigm Group out of Wichita, the other from ISI Environmental out of Wichita. I believe ISI Environmental was involved in the last time. So Paradigm was $5,755, basically come in, do a bunch of samples, turn them into a lab, have them tested. ISI was $6,100. I guess I should also say it includes a smoke sampling to understand smoke from fire and what the issues are potentially there from a smoke standpoint, what the combustible materials are still remaining in there. So we've got that test. Something that we asked Paradigm to look at too is a bid alternate to provide project design and bid assistance for hazardous building materials. So they essentially would write the spec, they would do a drawing identifying all those hazardous materials, and then they would bid that out to find qualified abatement removal companies to come in and do that work. So that's something we talked with Greg, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Greg, but Greg and his group does not deal in this hazardous materials and identifying those drawings or doing claims or specs for those materials.
Yeah, we couldn't do that.
No. So similarly to the way Greg is going to develop drawings for the new construction part, Paradigm would do that same set of documents or smaller version specifically to the removal and abatement of that hazardous material that is identified within that survey in the $5,700 and then turn that into a set of drawings and a scope that then could be used to bid that out and then actually perform the removal. So the reason that this is being brought up now is to be able to have the survey completed as quickly as possible and then work on that abatement and removal, very quickly. Hopefully this summer. We need to work through those timelines with them, but that's the plan of why that's coming now, so that can all be removed as kind of quickly as possible to allow any build back to continue without any delays for
You
having
want
to
us to
stop.
do this now? Tonight?
There's
time?
at the end of the slide, I've got a motion that we would like to get this moving. And the reason you don't see that additional alternate for ISI is because it was hard just to get them to give us a proposal for the survey. It was, I don't know, probably 3 to 3.5 weeks to just get their one proposal.
Is that how they normally work? Is that going to be an issue?
So we've worked with Paradigm in the past on actually 4 of 9 schools down in Emporia, and have had really good luck with Paradigm. They've been really responsive. He's very responsive in this proposal as well.
Okay. We'll come back to this in just a little bit. The next 2 slides, I wanted to just set this up kind of as, because this contracting for the asbestos abatement and the demolition will likely be different than what I think has been expected. So this graphic that you're seeing right now is how the typical construction and contracting through a CM at risk process would work. Because you have the school district, you guys in Buffalo's up here. We have McCown Gordon with Greg and his team over here off to the side, and they're architect. They have more of a advisory role, but they have, we're responsible to work directly with him and his team. The contracting would actually be directly through McCown Gordon Construction. So we would have individual contracts with all of these subcontractors flowing through McCown Gordon Construction. That's the typical one. If you go to the next slide. In this arrangement, it's a little bit different, and you notice the lines here, you have a solid line between the district and the subcontractors with a dotted line between McCown and SBT. And that is really kind of intentional, and the reason is we talked about that chain of command chain of custody of those hazardous materials. The fewer people that you have involved in that process, the better off you are. There's less room for error, less margin for something to happen. It's just better when you can have really that direct line of contracting directly to those folks that are responsible for it. Now, what's McCown Gordon's role in this? Our role is to provide the typical management, supervision, and the feel of how you guys are going to experience the demolition and the asbestos abatement really won't change. Our role is very similar. It's just we won't have a contract directly with those trade partners. We'll still be there handling the management of it, directing you those trade partners, communicating with you all over it. It just won't be contracted directly with us. Now, the benefit to that is that we're not providing markup in our fee on top of those contractors. So because of that direct line of contracting, you'll have that whatever the subcontractor's bid is for that is the amount that you will pay. You're not going to pay McCown Gordon additional fee. We'll have our management and supervision on site during that time, but no markups on the value of that work. Yeah, I think that's it for that slide. What questions do you have? I know that one's a little bit
So
different.
what you did there was just alleviate your liability. In a better word.
In reality, it's about cost of insurance.
Yeah.
And from account Gordon to do the cost of insurance on that scope of work becomes, I'm not going to call it unreasonable, but it's a different rate of insurance than what our normal coverage would be. So there's, in this arrangement, you guys get all the benefits of having our team manage the work without additional cost of the insurances on top of that. So there's no reason to pay insurances for the demolition and material abatement contractors plus our insurance rates.
Do we need to have extra insurance for some fashion of this?
That is a good question, and I don't know the answer to that. What we are working on is to make sure that the demolition contractors and abatement contractors have the insurances that we're going to kind of, what we would recommend that meet the requirements of liability for OSHA, KDHE, EPA, those types of organizations.
In any other project or anything such as this, if Finley's comes up and loads a load of stuff on trees on their truck, it's theirs. If they lose it downtown or break a bridge or whatever, whoa. Because they're overloaded. Whoa. Why isn't that the case here?
Make sure
It's the designation of a hazardous material.
Just the hazard.
Correct.
It's regulations because of
it's regulated differently than trees or regular trash, regular construction debris.
So, throwing this out there, since if it does go down this path of hazmat, and we can't get it abated, the whole landfill thing here kind of is a moot point, right?
Not necessarily. There potentially is some of that exterior skin, like brick.
Okay. Some site.
Yeah, paving, site concrete, that type of thing.
The building as a whole, I would say yes, Matt. But there's some
like
other
the internals.
Yeah.
But then also when construction starts, all of that.
Sure, no, I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying we were saying that the landfill was a hold up to some degree.
Right.
No, it's not going to be that easy.
Just kind of summarize that scenario. Just a random thought.
I don't even like construction with my husband. This is getting to be a lot.
So if something does go wrong, how do we handle that then, or what does that look like?
Get rid of it.
It is what you're working to do is hold that contractor that is demolishing the building and transporting it responsible for the what ifs that happen. So if there's some incident and it winds up in some place that it shouldn't, that would be their responsibility to remediate it, whatever that looks like.
But as far as the trucks going down the road, that's their responsibility. We can't be responsible for not tarped or truck drivers or whatever. Or tires falling off, causing fires.
Essentially, their insurance is going to be, there'll have to be a
line
item, but it'll have
riders with their insurance.
Yeah, they're going to be covered, but it's still our liability in the regards of
it's our trash
hazmat from a legality standpoint, from statute standpoint.
Correct.
So our basic
your name will be
liability
in the
would
newspaper.
just be where it goes.
I'm sorry,
In the wrong spot.
Yeah, correct.
Or something after that, or when do we relieve our liability?
What's it? It's the landfill. The ground on the landfill.
Well, if it's not the landfill and it contaminates somebody's ground.
That goes back to the contractor.
That goes back, well, right, and then ensuring that it is going to a certified landfill.
Yep.
That meets those requirements put in place by KDHE.
All in all, this is, for lack of better terms, something that we need to know about, but a moot point when it comes to the contractors that are going to be bidding on this. 99% of them have dealt with asbestos in the hazmat materials. they're gonna fall, they don't wanna lose any insurances or anything, so they're gonna be above and
You're
beyond.
telling me it's worse than it sounds.
Absolutely.
Or not worse than it
Not worse than it
sounds worse than it is.
Yes, they're not going to risk losing their insurances, and, I mean, yes, stuff can happen, but.
We're going for 100% of the contractors have done this before and know how to do it properly, because there's a lot at stake, right? It's not just about where it ends up. It's how that's done while it's on site that needs to be done properly to protect everybody there. So we want to make sure that those contractors have experience in it. They've done this before. They know how to conduct themselves.
I was just curious what liability that was opening us up to. Like I said, down the road with the trucks and stuff, shouldn't be our liability. Thank you. Thank you, Matt.
Okay. So I hope that has helped kind of explain how this process would work. We'll have a little bit more clarity on how this is all going to wind up at the next board meeting when we bring this packet up. And we'll have this all kind of bundled up together and
bless you.
Yeah.
Put your hands on your knees and then throw your back out.
Eric, if you go to the next
In a
slide.
couple years.
So this goes back to your motion you asked about Winter on what we're looking for approval. This would be to accept the hazardous building material survey from Paradigm Group, and then also that alternate for that project design and bid assistance as well.
Sounds like a good motion for Tim.
Tim?
I don't remember that top of my head off.
Just
Okay, I'm sure that was.
I'm just gonna say that's essentially by McCown Gordon. I make a motion to accept to give approval for McCown Gordon as presented in their presentation for, which one is it?
Paradigm.
Paradigm to do the hazardous building materials survey for the locker rooms and the project design. I can't read it, it's too far away.
Project design.
And the project design and bid assistance for hazardous building material removal.
This is too easy.
There's a motion on the floor to accept the hazardous building material survey of the existing gymnasium locker room presented by Paradigm Group in the amount of $57.55 and an alternate as project design. We'll have this building material removal in the amount of $25.50 from Tim McPhee. Second. We have a second.
I couldn't read it.
All those in favor? All opposed? Thank you, Tim.
Close the other eye, it'll work better next time.
Okay. I think the last thing that we had was just, we're going to do our best to be on the 25th. If not, we'll be back to negotiate another board date, maybe on the 6th.
As long as you got it all.
That's the plan.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
1 year.
We shall go to new business.
You might get home Gentlemen, thank you very much again.
Yeah.
Even with the joke around and everything, thanks guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see you again.
Appreciate it.
24-222. Discussion action set class limit size for non-residents. Approval of Chromebook orders for 24 to 25 school year. Approval of the summer food program. Approval of elementary kitchen dishwasher. Approve iStation's curriculum program. And 23-24 insurance. I'm going to say health
And one more on the other.
And discussion action and approval of the storage container.
Okay, I'm passing out I'm passing out an updated version of what's in your packet. It's the same if you read through Basically, I'm at the way the law states is to give authority to the superintendent to set the capacities. If you go to the last 2 pages, and I stole this off of a district that's already passed this, basically. Basically on the last 2 pages, and so it's the 24-25 capacity limits and availability. Okay, so basically, I am gonna ask that we wait till we get a little bit closer to May 1st, because that's when it's due. But we will have 2 sections of each teacher in the elementary school, or of each grade level. Lacey, if you want me to change this capacity per section, I can. I know we didn't get a chance to talk about it.
No, I think this is only for this next year.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine we're gonna add in
that many kids.
That many in each specific grade level, so.
So basically the negotiated agreement is up to 22 kids per classroom. I did reduce like the second, third, and the kindergarten first, just because it's the more kids you get in those grade levels, the education part goes down. And so I talked to Susie, and it sounds like 25, 27 maybe kindergartners. But we'll have kindergarten roundup before May 1st, so I thought it'd be good before we put a number down for that. And then we just went through the grade levels, through the junior high, and how many spots are available is, up to 44, and then our 7th grade group is the smallest group to get up to 44 openings. There's 28 spots basically open in that. And that's based off of this year's numbers. It makes it really hard for us to do this, because a lot of times you start really hearing who's coming back or who's not. And it's really who's leaving. You really hear those later on in May, but this is when the law states we have to have it. So that goes through the junior high and high school as well on those. That does go to show where our class numbers are, because the bigger the class, the bigger the amount of spots, or the more amount of spots, the more kids, or the less kids in the classroom. Jeff and I were talking, the current 9th grade class has lost quite a bit of enrollment.
Like online and homeschool.
What grade?
The freshmen. Right now, we've had a lot leave from that grade. 6 or 7 probably, at least.
Yeah.
Are they still in the county?
At least half of them probably are.
So this, you just have to do the setting the capacity.
Yeah.
What's the
Oh, he doesn't want to take his motion until, or turn it in until.
what's the reasoning for that number? I mean, can you make it more? Can you make it less? What's the pros and cons of
The capacity was just based off of what we're supposed to have in the classroom for the
Like you don't want to have more than 22 per classroom because that's our negotiated agreement. So technically we can make 3rd, 2nd, 1st, and kindergarten more up to the 22.
This is non-resident
Yeah.
capacity because of that open enrollment that the state has put into place.
Yeah, we did the policy like in November.
Where before we could deny somebody out of district from coming, we can no longer do that unless we reach capacity.
But there are a few others, like if they're under like expulsion or some there's some things that it did allow that are in our policy, and this meets that policy.
And it's that capacity has no governance on resident kids.
No.
If our resident kids would exceed that, obviously they're allowed. So.
So
no action. You're
well, I'm asking
waiting.
I'm asking for action to say to allow the superintendent to set that to set the capacity limits by May 1st.
Done yet?
Yes.
You got it set?
Huh?
You got it set?
That's what this would be other than the kindergarten.
So we're doing all this at once, or we're doing this?
Just do this one.
Yeah, I think these need to be each one individually.
One at a time.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion that we let the superintendent set the capacity limits by May 1st.
I second it.
Is there a second? And we have a second. All those in favor? Opposed?
Speak up.
Chromebooks for 24-25 school year.
All right. Well, I'll explain it first. So right now we have approximately $283,000 of ESSER 3 funds that we need to spend by September of 24. So we lose them. Yeah, or we lose them. And so just looking at what we have, maybe this is a better way to start off. And another, what we're looking for is to be able to use these. We want to be able to use these funds to get us out in front of a couple years down the road through subscriptions that we've been using them on. Instead of doing it year by year, do like a 3-year one. And that allows us to purchase it now, and then we can keep using it down the road. So the Chromebooks, what we're looking at is this order would allow us to put them back for at least next year. It would allow us to do next year's and put the remainder back for the year after that as well. And the reason we have these extra funds that haven't been allocated is basically because we had the mini splits that we're going to do at the high school that we don't need to do that anymore.
I think we need that right now.
Yeah. So we have some extra funds to do that.
What is an iStation?
It's a program that
Okay.
we use at the elementary school, and so we've used it, I don't know how many years, but we have to do so many different types of testing throughout the year. This is through like our accreditation process, and so we have to have 3 different ways to test the students on evidence-based programs that prove to the state that we really are using materials that they accept. And so iStation is approved by the state, and we can use that kindergarten through 6th grade. And so it's one of our ways that we do it. Usually we do it yearly, like a subscription, but this is a 3-year subscription, so that we can use our funds on it now. So,
We've had it every year. It's just now we have to ask for approval because of the cost of it and things. So the Chromebooks, there were 300 Chromebooks in that. And like we said, they would go on, a lot of them would go into outside of what we need this year, for this next year, they go in a closet till the year after that. Okay, Chandler, you can go ahead and go.
But yeah, and with that being said, the state law requires us after 20,000, Eric can approve that we have to do an RFP unless we have a state contract. CDWG is like great to work with, and they have a state contract with that. We're going with a different Chromebook model again this year. I was on a webinar with Acer, or not a webinar, a Zoom meeting with Acer, kind of getting a rundown from them, and they've had great success in the education market. They've actually designed their Chromebooks where it is easy to repair. This year, what they're going on with our HP Chromebooks have been fantastic with the case. Our damage rate with them has been significantly less than what we've had previously. The problem that we have now is kids picking up keys off keyboards. That's their favorite thing to do. Issue with HP and other devices, the Chromebooks, is the keyboards are not easy to replace. So you literally have to take out everything, rip the guts out, put it back in, and hope and pray to God that you got it correctly. Acer has designed that differently, where there's just like literally 5 screws. You unscrew it, you pop in the new keyboard, put in the 5 screws, and you're off to the races again. With Acer, the other thing I liked about them was, as well as if I had an issue with the Chromebook, I could call them. There's a US-based support in Texas. Warranty's great with them. They'll just send out the parts that I need and give us any information on how to replace the devices, parts of the device. And then if I have a tech in next year as well, we can get them certified and repair as well. So it's kind of a self-maintainer, as what you would say. And then, yeah, the other thing too is, when you're ordering a bunch of Chromebooks, is Google does it weird on their enrollment, where I literally have to touch every physical device to get it enrolled into a Google Cloud platform. Acer will take care of that for free with us. All of what we'd have to do is when they come in, slap a case on, slap a label of an asset tag, and we're off to the races, we're ready to go. And then the remainder of what we aren't using is going into storage and use next year, the years previous after that, if that makes sense. And I have demos of cases coming with these guys too, so we'll put another hardcover case on it. But we're getting demos.
Is the case included in the cost?
The case is not included in this cost. I believe the cases are probably going to be significantly less, but I feel like we can probably bargain with CDW based on who we're going with. Of, hey, we're just buying, 300 of these cases worth this year.
Are there any negatives of this?
The only negative that I have with this is we do our Chromebook rotation about every 4 years. Once the student hits 5th grade, give them the device, they go through junior high for that device. Once they hit high school, same thing, freshmen, we get a new Chromebook. That goes through. And then our classroom sets, we kind of upgrade as we need. The only downside I would see of this is, Google could come back out and say, we're going to redact our 10-year policy of supporting Chromebooks and make it go down back to 4 or whatever it was before. That's the only downfall I would see. I don't see that happening, because if they would do that, I think we'd have a whole bunch of schools beyond mad at them. That's my only view. And then the other thing too is that, we could get some lemons, but once again, I trust our Acer and I trust CDW that they make it right. So
this 300 you're not using in 1 year. You're going to use some of them and throw the rest in the closet for the next year. Is that?
Yeah.
And then that will go on for.
Place them gently in the closet.
3 years.
He's not going to throw them.
It would work for at least this year and next year. I would guess the year after that we may have some left, but we'll probably have to supplement some more.
Okay. That was going to be my only concern, is just pushing it too far and then.
Right.
Well, guess what? Here's something that's even better.
Right. I always have the latest and greatest, but I've been impressed with these guys, and this is the brand new model too. So
All software and controls and everything will
beautifully move right on over, and I can literally just hand the kid, here's your Chromebook, take care of it.
How easy would it be to go back to just pen and paper?
You feeling all right?
Good luck.
We can't hardly get copies,
Ain't nothing like
enough
a big
copies
sheet
for
of
the
notebook.
students now.
It
was done at one time.
I'm dying over here.
After the week we've had with Zayo and their little internet issue, I'm all for pen and paper right now. I'm so
I was gonna
tired
say
of-
you're struggling with the internet.
I've
still,
been
aren't you?
struggling with the internet, and you know, Zayo's team that we've been working with has been fantastic to work with, and Jordan and Dunkers have been fantastic to work with. It's just, I'm ready for pen and paper, honestly. So tired of hearing, Chandler, this website doesn't work. Yeah, it's because of our Zayo issue.
There's just opportunities for improvement.
There we go.
Well, use it or lose it, right?
Back.
Terry, what do you think?
What I think,
Use it or lose it?
lose it or lose it.
You got a motion on the table then?
No, I was gonna let you do it.
We could do the ice station too now. That's one later on down if we wanted to. But
How much more Ezra money, if we approve this, is left?
so we have 165,000.
After this.
Yeah, that's what these three are. And this is where I'm thinking at-risk teacher. We were scheduled for 15,000 of that, and I'm putting more into there, another 65,000. Kind of where our enrollment drop really hit us was at-risk funds, so that would help us supplement that. The social emotional program, there's been some talk about increasing that. The other part, whatever's left, we just use for counselor salary, which we did that last year. And then just the intervention programs is very much the same as this iStation, getting what we can moved out on that.
So you got plans to utilize
Yeah.
all the Ezra money?
Yeah.
Dishwasher come out of that.
We have a social emotional program. Mr. Alice.
Yeah, I know.
Good question.
It's kind of like an air conditioner.
And honestly, maybe we could replace the air conditioners here, but that process to do it, I think we're kind of too late to do that right now. Just what you have to do to do that.
Plan.
But using the ESSER money here for this stuff keeps that money in our capital outlay to where we had, for the dishwasher and such.
Because you can only, even our iStation, you can use at-risk funds on iStation, that program, because it's, been approved, the approved list of KSDE, but the ones that he used at the high school, like Ingenuity and Zello, and those are not on the approved list. So you never know where the state of Kansas is gonna say, yes, you can use certain funds for this, or you can't, but.
On a whim, it seems like.
Yeah.
So we need, they're not Chromebooks, they're Acer.
They're Acer Chromebooks.
Acer Chromebooks. And the iStation seems like a pretty good deal because of the 3-year, right?
Yeah, it's about $1,600 less.
I will tell you, it is reading and math, separate programs, and then we do have the Spanish versions also, which has been really good with our students that come in to see where they're at, because it's their native language and it's everything that we do. So then it kind of levels them out, and it does all students. It sees exactly where you're at. So if you're in 4th grade and you're working at the 2nd grade level, it gives you the things that you need to be working on in 2nd grade. Same thing if you're in 4th grade and you're working at a 6th grade level, it gives you those things. And so it's one of those programs that it goes to your actual ability, which has been fantastic in reading and math. And then our students that we can't really assess because our language barriers are large. It does assessment for us, so it's been good.
And you said CDW, right?
Yes.
I move that we approve the Chromebooks from CDW for $87,555 and the iStation for $30,771.84.
I second that.
Motion and a second to do the Chromebooks in the iStation. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay, we got two birds down. We'll go to summer food programs.
Summer food program, basically it would operate the same as what we've done in the past. It would basically go from the day after Labor Day to the Memorial Day, to the last day of June.
So May 28th to June 28th.
And it operate the same as far as, is it 11:30 to 12:30 when it was open?
Yeah, we can pick the time frame, but that's what.
We have cooks now?
The problem is gonna be finding staff to run it.
I did receive one email today. I put it out to staff, if anybody's willing to help with that. And there was one that's from the kitchen that's willing to help this summer, so that would be.
Right now, we just need approval to do it, so we can get the paperwork going. If we happen to not find staff, then we'd have to cancel it.
Have we ever not had the summer food program?
Not since I've been here. So I'm just asking, or I'm asking for the board to approve that.
We got a motion, Terry?
Megan does, yeah.
Megan does?
No, Terry,
Question.
let Terry do it, it's fine. Hit
How
it,
long
Terry.
is the summer food program gonna last?
June.
It's
5 weeks.
the day after, May 28th to June 28th.
Did we extend that last year?
No, last year, a couple of years ago with COVID, we did. It was through
That was
July.
concern for the only meal for some of those.
Still need a motion?
Yes.
Megan, Megan passed it.
Go ahead. You started.
No, go ahead, and I'll
Oh,
second.
Lord have mercy.
I move that we
There we go.
approve the summer food program as presented.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve summer food program. All in favor? All opposed? We move on to the approval of the kitchen dishwasher for the elementary kitchen.
So the current dishwasher's 20 years plus old. It needs $8,000 to $9,000 in repairs. And we could do that. That's, but we don't know what's gonna help us
What
be wrong.
happens? Yeah.
How long has it been broken?
2 weeks?
At least 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Maybe longer since
So
the
how are we
surefire
functioning?
benefit that.
How are we
was broken
functioning?
in.
Not well. Pans, throw disposable pans and trays, like
Silverware.
Is there anybody have any negatives
a
on
lot of
a
hand
new
washing, a lot of
dishwasher?
elbow
A
grease.
new one, you say?
I mean, it's pretty
Other than
straightforward to
it's a
me.
lot.
Yeah, but repairs are almost half, not quite, but almost half. of it.
And you repair it, and then how long does that last?
Yeah. And there are
I-
state
The other
mandates.
half goes bad.
There are state mandates as to what you have to, I
I
mean,
mean, we're doing.
And so
what?
the ones, I don't know, I haven't looked at them, on the forms, but the ones that she's proposed are good, wonderful dishwashers that do, I don't know if it was 6 to 7, pans at a time that they can wash. Some of the bids were more like 1 or 2 pans, and that's not ideal, so.
Is the lowest bid the best?
Yeah, that's the one that
Has the-
Vanessa wanted.
Yeah.
Okay, I move that we accept.
What about, I got one more question. What about warranty? Is there a warranty? What kind of warranty is on it?
On the new one,
Yes.
I didn't look at the warranty, so.
Sorry.
I didn't see it in here, but.
I took a lot of those papers off because they had like 30 pages for each one. So it's probably not in there.
I mean,
I can get it to you.
No, that's fine.
considering I
I'm
know
sure
it's a
they'll back it
3-step
up to at least
This
a
is
year.
the company that she has used in the past, and I think we need to do it.
It's a no-brainer.
Right,
We're an
Yeah.
existing customer.
yes.
Most other people are volunteering to come do it.
What's your
In these
question?
emergency situations, and it's been 6 weeks that the dishwasher's been out,
6?
and we have an equipment breakdown. Can we not, you reply to us by email, can we not approve it? Go ahead and purchase something to get it without the delays? I mean, I assume the time they get the dishwasher in, school will be out.
I think some of the difference in a lot of those has been it's been below 20,000. This is above 20,000.
Well, I know we approved something at one time that was $2,000 or $3,000 over.
Did we?
But if it's been broken for 6 weeks,
I think they went with repairs first.
I know.
Yeah. Like I think she had called in a couple different companies to come look at it to see
hard to
how
get somebody
severe
there,
it
wasn't
was. Yeah.
I think just getting somebody here to see what was wrong with it took
Looking
a
at
couple
this
weeks.
possible new one, then is that going to be one that can be serviced easily?
Yeah. It's the same companies, but
All right.
yeah.
How soon can they get it here?
Not soon enough.
Is it available?
I thought Vanessa said it could be done pretty quick.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go back to my motion. I move that we accept the bid for $23,950 to get a dishwasher here as soon as we can.
I'll
second that.
the motion.
Motion made and seconded for the
Second that.
dishwasher. All in favor?
Second.
Opposed?
Second that one, too.
We move down to F, insurance for 23-24.
You need a break, like you said.
Yeah. Wouldn't say no to one.
Wow.
I think we should do these next two.
Yeah.
Unless you need one right now.
Have a
All
personal.
right. So we got our Blue Cross Blue Shield rates for next year. On the form, it went from 592 to about 627. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it's 592.03,
So
627.72.
was this last year that when we saved money, but then we used that money we saved to buy another
That was the
life
life insurance
insurance?
policy.
Can we lower that back down?
I'd say we've had good feedback from like when we've been recruiting staff members. But yeah, we can take that.
Say what you said again. Yeah.
Well, last year we saved money on our insurance, right? And then we used that money that we saved to buy additional life insurance coverage.
We upped the life insurance from 10,000 to 50,000.
So you're wanting to drop it back down to 10?
I don't want to, I'm just questioning if
Oh,
it
is that
should
like $8?
It's $850 a month per employee. And
just
only
to
full-time
offset
employees
the
can have that,
increase
so.
this year, if it makes a difference.
This is still quite a bit.
Negotiation team.
Huh?
Who's on negotiation?
Exactly.
It's still lower than what it was at highest.
It's gone down for the last 4 years. This is the first increase, which.
And it's due to use, basically.
Kind of electricity, like electricity. You use it, it goes up. You don't goes down.
Well, sure.
It's just part of the game.
If you use your insurance during peak hours, then it's more.
Right?
Wait for stitches
Peak
9 to
months.
5.
Yeah, fair enough.
Has the word insurance in it. so we're
And to
acting
put in
anyway.
perspective, our Blue Cross Blue Shield rep said himself, he said, this is a better plan than the one he has with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Because it's a grandfathered plan.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
In excellent health insurance.
I want to say,
Just take it.
with my issues I had this year, we paid like $1,500. And basically the rest.
Who's this for? Through? What company is this?
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
This is Blue Cross.
Yeah, it's the only one. I'll second you.
So see.
I move that we continue with our insurance plan with Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
Second.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second to continue with Blue Cross. All those in favor? Opposed? I have to ask opposed if they're all in favor.
Only if you can't do math. Yes.
Fine.
Just thought I'd ask experience. Move on to G, I think. Storage containers.
So, the one in yellow is the recommended one. There's Aspen Leaf, they're out of, Sharon Springs. I think they could get us to them to us very quickly.
What was the name of it?
Aspen Leaf Containers. That price includes delivery. There's a quote from Dry Box.
Go ahead. I'll ask when you're done.
So that's the same amount of containers. Their cost is $1,400 per unit for delivery though. So that's what gets them up above. We've looked at this Evian, but we'd have to figure out delivery for them.
Where are they located at?
There's an office in Denver and an office in Kansas City. And they deliver 200 miles and we're 219 miles from their place.
Have them deliver it to Bird City and we'll pick it up. Just saying, there's a lot of money difference.
Drag it down the road with a tractor.
I think the delivery fee they had on it was pretty high. Like,
Do they have their own trailers, like specially built to haul these things?
We got flatbeds, man.
Right?
I've driven Denver.
I got a crane.
It wasn't pretty.
Is this the only one in Kansas? The Aspen Leaf container?
Those were the ones we found.
What about Gillis? What about Winona?
Chuck Henry. Are these brand new or are these used? I can't remember what you had on that.
There's one in Winona.
That last one that doesn't deliver is used.
I think that's this Aspen. That's this Aspen, I believe, out of
So
Winona.
that's 3
Sharon
containers
Springs.
for a total of
Different.
15,000.
Yeah.
Winona, Sharon Springs.
What do we propose to put in them? Just to eliminate the pods, right? Okay, do we need to add something for the scoreboard to go into?
That's
part of it.
Okay, I'm just clarifying.
Clarifying.
I was thinking, get these to get started. If we need more, we'll get another one. I think there'll be a delay on getting all the stuff out of the containers, just until the stuff in there is mostly going to be eventually thrown away just because of the smoke smell and stuff, but we gotta work through that with the insurance company. And there's gonna be no better way to say it, there's gonna be a fight about that.
And how much are the pods every month?
About 5,000 or 6,000.
Oh, 5 or 6. Per pod? Per
Per
pod?
$200 per pod.
So all of them, so total. All of them. Total.
But these, once the school's all built, and you wanna get rid of them, you can get
Yeah,
rid
we
of them.
can, build a fort.
They have kits for those.
What stone? Where the other ones are?
I put the date here, okay.
Right, and Reggie in the backyard.
When's the time limit run out for the pods, or when
It goes through the scope of the work.
So this isn't like a have to have them tomorrow type thing?
We don't really have a spot for the scoreboard.
So we could get the 20-footer and get our bus barn back at the end of school.
Will fit in a 20-footer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you get it hard enough, you fit it.
It'll fit.
It's just having some fun. More work.
Does anybody oppose getting 1 20-footer to get the scoreboard out of the bus barn?
Are we gonna use the bus barn?
My question would be, with delivery
We're putting
more
tires on it.
Say that again,
Is there any way they can get, I'm trying to think about delivery. They'd have to just put one on a trailer, we're just getting one. So there'd be 3 loads.
Or would
I think they could get probably 2, because we've gotten some from this place before. If I remember correctly, if you were getting 20 footers, you could get 2 on them.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if they're gonna charge us extra for just bringing one 20 footer, but we're only getting one anyway, and that's their bid. Cause the 40 footers are gonna be one load apiece.
I don't know.
I would
I
just
thought
think
that-
about delivery.
Yeah, I know,
No,
and
I
I think that
understand,
price
but-
is included delivery.
But even at one, I mean, it's gotta be included in their bid here. So.
I'd rather see get 2 20 footers just because I don't oppose a 40, but you start packing it in there and if you try to find something in the back, a
Some
20
of them do
footer.
have doors at both ends, but I don't know.
I don't know.
I've seen them, I've seen them advertised that way. But
The other thing, when we got them, they had options of brand new, under 5 years old and over 5 years old. And I mean, the ones that are over 5 years old are beat up. The ones that are used in that 5-year range are usually pretty decent shape. And then the new ones are a premium cost. I don't know if that's still what they're doing or not, but
There is a note that says they can get 2 20-foot on a delivery, so the second container would be able to.
You think that Aspen is out of Winona?
They're out of Sharon Springs.
Because the guy out of Wyoming had, free delivery within 50 miles.
yeah, I don't know. I was just assuming because it's pretty close.
yeah.
Yeah. You know, is this guy out in the country, you know, and it's just in between the 2 towns?
Well, I mean, I hadn't looked at the map, but Winona can't be much more than 50 miles, is it?
Winona?
Yeah,
It's just South Coleman.
yeah.
It'd be right at it.
But maybe that's why delivery is included, because it's,
Yeah.
If it's 30 to Colby and Winona's another 15, 18 miles, 20.
I think it's pretty close.
We're really close.
My Apple map says 60 miles.
60? Yeah.
do you have any opposition to 220s instead of?
I mean, I do like the idea of 20 footers over 40s just for that reason. I mean, you get a 40 footer packed full, you're never going to get to.
I mean, the other thing is the 20 footers are not easily, but more likely to be moved if you need them in a different spot where the 40 footers.
Well, and
Would
I
you
mean,
agree?
a little bit more options
You're just
on
looking
where
at
you
me
can
like
set
with
them
this
too, where you're
Yeah.
20 foot in length. I mean, those are the only benefits I see to 20s over 40s, but I mean, a 40 is obviously cheaper, or, you know,
But
per-
the problem,
per
like
length.
we've said in the past, you get a 40 footer, if they don't have doors at both ends, you get stuff packed all the way in.
Yeah.
Now you just gotta dig for
Didn't
it.
even ever see it.
And
What is the intent to use them for?
well, we need to sort content we're gonna keep would eventually go to the new building from stuff we have to designate as.
That you're not utilizing
Yeah,
in the
and
model.
get rid of the pods to the point where, you know, open up parking and everything else for next year.
And put the scoreboard in it.
And,
You're up.
220.
I move that we get 2 20-foot storage containers from Aspen and get the ball rolling.
I'm gonna be sarcastic too. A lot of the scoreboards in there, the buses don't have to be washed.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion for two
The motion.
storage units. And a second, all those in favor? Opposed? No. That's that.
I'll move to go into recess for 5 minutes.
That's what I was wondering.
I second that.
In a second. Recess for 5 minutes. All in favor? All opposed? Are we good time on it, ma'am?
Yeah, we're good.
You know
All right,
what?
we're back into session.
That's cough drops, Susan.
That's right. I'll share popcorn.
Discussion action on administrative reports. Who's up first, ladies and gentlemen?
Okay. Can you please open my water?
So,
Thank you.
like we discussed, sales tax thing got switched around. Our HB 2815 got gutted. So it's something else that never moved any further than that. So, anyways, the new bill, and it was bundled with a whole bunch of other stuff. I won't say the other word I was thinking, but it was Bill 410. And it's in there. If you go look at it.
I believe you.
Oh, I
Believe
can't
me?
read that.
All right. Well, anyways, we do have an update here that says it's enrolled and presented to the governor on Monday, April 15th. So that's good. I was actually getting concerned about that because there hadn't really been an update and I couldn't find it beyond there. But so I'd say that's a good sign.
She hasn't signed it yet.
I don't think so. I think she has a certain amount of days to do that before, like 10 days or I could, don't quote me on the days, it's a number.
Not a
You like that? I might be getting a little tired here. But I don't see why it won't be signed by the governor. You look at the votes, it was 120 to 0 by the House and 34 to 2 by the Senate. So that's good.
That means the governor will veto it.
Did you say 34 to 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 2 was.
So
yeah, but there's a bunch of other stuff. They probably.
So the first time it was 1 whatever to 2 in the House, and it was 2 legislators from like the Paola area that didn't vote for it, and this time it's 2 from like the Leavenworth area. So I don't know. We must have pissed Kansas City off or the surrounding areas. Sorry. Apologize.
Sometimes the truth hurts.
Yeah. So there's some bills that passed. The Emerge program, it's a scholarship program for National Guard. I don't know that we need to talk a lot about this, but that looks like is another bundled bill.
Amen.
So here we are, Senate Bill 73, current year enrollment. So this was negotiated. This is probably the best the schools were gonna do. It does affect us. They were trying to get the highest of current, or the enrollment would be based on either the highest of either your current year or the prior year enrollment. That was honestly gonna hurt us next year pretty big. They are going to, for 24-25, allow us to use the average of the prior and second preceding year. So some of our enrollment drop will be mitigated by that. So that would be about 8 student difference or so. So that'll help us out quite a bit.
Does that set a precedence? Do we have to stay with that average if the next time or
No.
next time
Then the year after that, it'll either be the year prior or that year. So if we happen to jump up that year, then we could do that. Then if we jump up next year, we could. If we get above, I think it was 374.5. If we get above that, then that'll help us out next year. So, just another way to think about it, it'll help mitigate. So if we get a new student in October, they won't be counted till 2 years after that, because that's how long it takes for them to get into the budget system, basically. So I anticipate the governor signing that. There's just some scholarships with this one. Special education, that's been if you really watch the news, the education news, like we've said, there's been a lot of underfunding with SPED. What they're trying to do is give us the 77.5 million increase is actually higher than what the governor recommended. The governor recommended a 4-year catch-up, basically. So the legislature put in 77.5 as a 1-year catch-up, but then use LOB. They would mandate, like what we have for at-risk funds and other funds, they would mandate that we put our LOB funds into SPED, and then we would be required, then they would say, oh, we're meeting our funding requirement for SPED. So that they were trying to do it without state money. They were trying to use our own funds for that. That barely passed the House, and then it died in the Senate. They took that back to their conference committee. It hasn't gone through. It basically would increase the SPED, I think, by the same amount of money, but without the LOB, counting the LOB as state aid. I guess it retained the mandatory transfer from LOB to SPED. I don't know quite yet how that's going to affect us on it, but we'll have to keep watching that. I am a little concerned, since they didn't pass it out of there, that this is really just maneuvering to try to jam it in the last night of the session to try to get what they wanted or worse into it. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. At-risk funds. So they've been messing a lot with this. I'll be honest, this is one of those bills and things that I haven't kept up as much on. I think Lacey or Jeff said something about removing items from the list. What I really think is going on is they're seeing that that's a pretty big amount of our budget, and that's a pretty big multiplier for us. And I mean schools as a whole. I think they're trying to mess with it and trying to reduce costs, is what I really think is going on. The district's disposing of district property. They removed the exemption for buildings that did not receive capital improvement state aid. As if you remember last year's budget bill, that included any district property would have to be offered to the legislature first if they wanted to buy it. And then this is an exemption, but that's been removed. That would have probably helped us quite a bit, because I would doubt that we receive state aid for our buildings. We certainly wouldn't now, so I don't know. We'd have to do some research on if we had state aid for any of our buildings if we were going to sell them. These are just some smaller things that they're changing from the governor's budget recommendations. So the safe and secure schools, in the past, they've had $5 million, and it could go to like safety improvements like our door locks, cameras, school security officers, things like that. They were trying to increase that amount. It's actually back down to what they were giving before. But now what they were really trying to do is say this $5 million or however much they were trying went to this AI gun detection software, and they had a very specific vendor. And basically the way it's written is that's the only vendor you could use because it's so specified.
Somebody bought them out, huh?
Yeah. But they did allow grant funds for AEDs, cameras, and that gun detection software. So like we use we use part of that for the door locks, and we couldn't do that anymore with the way it's written. So the good news is I mean eventually we're gonna have some cameras that we want to add and things like that. So if we try to go for this grant this year, I would really recommend that's when we start looking at our camera system and things. This HB 2594, and this has to go with the SPED funding. They did a committee. The people in charge were trying to get it to where they ran the committee, and basically what they found out is the way they wrote it, they wouldn't be in charge anymore. So they tried not to meet. KKO and Oakley was part of that committee, and so now, since they didn't really get their way, now they're doing away with it to do a different committee. Is basically it's what they're doing. So let's see here, and they want to turn it into a school funding task force. What we have to know is by 2027, the whole funding formula has to have been redone. So what we've been doing has been, outside of minor changes, has been in place for about basically since the court order was done, and that went for I think 10 years. And so now at 2027, so it won't happen for another couple years, but once we start getting into the 25, 26, really 26 legislative session, that's when I would really watch for something to happen. So probably next year, probably not as much, but the year after, I think there's going to be a lot of news coming out on that. Let's see here. I think that's mostly it, what I wanted to talk about. This is the part of the session where the budgets will start when they come back. I think it's at the end of April. When they come back, they'll get the budgets passed, the tax, all those things passed, and really everybody appears to think that we're going to get our increases. We're at $5,088. They're expecting that for per student, they're expecting it to be like $5,388. So a pretty good increase, but where we have to understand. We've been very fortunate the last several years. We've been getting these big increases, but we've also had student enrollment to help double that increase. And now I don't expect our budgets to go lower, but I don't think they're going to go as high as what we've been used to the last 3 or 4 years. So that's just, and we're fortunate we're not dropping so much that our funding's going down. Their schools, very small, like smaller than even Cheylin, that if they had kept the budget where it was the preceding year or the year or the prior year or the current year, they would have lost $700,000 or $800,000 in funds. And you're talking school districts closing at that point, because you're talking losing close to half the budget. So fortunately we're not in that realm to have to think about it. It's just not going to be quite the same that we've been used to the last several years. So that's what I have.
Okay.
Me to go?
Sure.
Okay. FFA went horse judging here recently. Kylie Dirks, placed 6th in the senior division. Cody Dirks placed 1st in the green hand division, and Shy Walker placed 8th in the green hand division. And they earned 2nd place as a team with the green hands. So FFA will be selecting officers for next year, next week, I believe, next week or two. And the chapter banquet is scheduled for May 6th. And also greenhouse plant sales will start this week. The NWKL Art Show was held in St. Francis at the beginning of the month. That was scheduled to be here. St. Francis was nice enough to host it for us this year. The art students that took art over were fortunate enough, while judging was going on, to take in a local art exhibit there, art gallery there as well. So, We did have quite a few winners. Xavier Bryn took Best of Show with her mixed media Seville, Spain, My Future Unfolding. She also took, that was the Best of Show. She took first place with her mixed media Bloody Mary, Quite Contrary. Raya Casper took second place with her silver sketch, Candlelight. Clara Castens took third place with her Pornyism, The Hills of Tuscany. Raya Casper received honorable mention for some kind of a print. Linocut print, there we go. Other honorable mentions were Kiara Bailey with a painting, Amelia Bowles with architecture project, Xanthia Bryn with the batik, and Ryan Casper with the assembly project. And Xavier Bryn a painting, and Xavier Bryn an ink drawing. So pretty good recognition by our high school art students there. So upcoming events, there's the F. Jorge State Art Show. It's this Wednesday the 17th, so there'll be a group of students attending that. Mrs. Bryn would also like to cordially invite the school board to our local art show here. It's going to be held at the Shirley Opera House. That is Monday the 29th and Tuesday the 30th. The 29th is kind of it's not open to the public, but she said the board is more than welcome to come either night, the 29th or the 30th. So 6:30 on the 29th, or 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on that Tuesday the 30th. So Kathy Leitner is gracious enough to be our person to set with the art on that day. It's open, so we can still have classes. Since it's not in the building, we had to find somebody to sit down there and watch all the art. So yeah,
the art.
What's that?
Watch it do what?
Just so it's Well, maybe there'll be some live art. I don't know.
Performance art.
Performance art.
Are you doing? Tell me you're doing interpretive dance.
Yeah. Not me.
He's a bronze mime.
Not me. We had the regional music festival in Oberlin this past weekend. Our choir performed. They received comments only, and got no rating. Xavier Bryn had a vocal solo, Superior 1 rating. Kiara Bailey had a flute solo, Superior 1 rating. Haley Parsons had a tenor sax solo, Superior 1 rating. And all of those three with the Superior Run will go to, what is it? It's here somewhere. State Music. When is that? The 27th? Yep. At Tabor College. Antoinette Brungard had a clarinet solo with a 2 excellent rating. And then the junior high and high school band will perform at Large Group Music Festival in Oakley this Thursday. And there's also a guest musician coming from Lincoln on April 25th for the entire school, and there will be an evening concert available to the public. Junior high, our spring sports have started. Junior high track is off to a good start. The girls placed, if I can find it here, there's 40 junior hires out. The girls, I believe, placed second at our meet here, and the boys tied for first. And then the first couple weeks here, Ayla Moses has broken the 8th grade 1600 meter record. So congratulations to her, 6 minutes and 20 seconds. Let's see, our high school, I've got it here somewhere. High school track numbers are 25, so that's up from what we've had in the past. And we currently have 9 golfers out.
What record did you say she broke?
The 1600 meter.
Mile.
The mile.
In 6 minutes?
6 minutes and 20 seconds.
Impressive. She was running.
I got tired thinking about it.
That's all I got to say about that.
Well, he's done. I forgot one thing. The Alumni Association has invited the board admin to the dinner free of charge. So, Mrs. Zapp said.
I guess I would add, Abby Meechek broke her own
We got
shot
name-
put
we got
record
name-
too,
Oh,
shoot,
I'm sorry.
at our meet.
Yeah, I got my
Names.
name on the
Hey,
back
this
of
is
it.
Amber's.
Hey, look at that, I got it.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Thanks.
You did good.
Jordan, delivery.
Did good? No, I didn't do good with this.
I got mine too.
Chandler.
Mr. Tim.
Hey, Mr. Tim, delivery.
Is everybody good?
It's actually Mrs. Tim.
Mrs. Tim, Mr.
I
Amber.
didn't get one.
You didn't get one?
Tim.
It's on my fridge. I got one in the
Timmy
mail.
Tim?
Sorry.
Spring
I don't know.
concert.
I haven't made it to one yet. I don't know if I want to break my streak.
I'll be there with the scouts serving. So we,
So that's a yes.
we eat at the end when everybody else.
So
has
the
been
spring
to
concert is when? It's May 7th. The junior high and high school. May 7th concert. So come attend, enjoy.
We had
And you
12
got
Boy
prom
Scouts
this week.
down there one time.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to prom.
You're all coming to prom, right?
Been there, done that.
Yeah. The promenade, it will be held here,
Who's coming
here
to
at the
prom?
grade school. And
Winner's
then the
going to
dance is
prom?
at the Skyline, and then after prom, we'll be back down here. Fun-filled evening.
We can't wait.
Are you busting them in between?
I'm done.
You're good?
Promenade is,
Do we need to check in?
where's
Here.
promenade here?
Here.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
You gonna have discussion with the
5:30.
students prior to?
They have already been talked to, but yeah, we'll
5:30 in
invite
the
them
morning's the next day,
Mm-hmm.
I'm forgetting to ask what time it is.
What?
which is about right for a prom let loose.
Okay. Schedules for what? Oh,
When to be where.
okay. Good to know. Can we put trackers on them? Shot callers?
That's up to you.
I trust my kids.
Okay. Andy Hansen received Best of Show at the League Art Show also in St. Francis on April 5th. So Mrs. Walker went with some of the elementary art, and so he received Best of Show, and the other students received participant awards. Fourth grade will be going on a field trip to the Colby Event Center for the Conservation Roundup on April 30th. Fifth grade will be going to the Denver Museum of Nature and Science this Friday. Most of theirs is paid from their pumpkin patch money that they earned. T-shirt, supper, IMAX, and the planetarium tickets are all paid for by their proceeds from the pumpkin patch. Fifth grade also did an afternoon tea with Kathy Horton. One class went on the 3rd and the other class went on the 4th. Students have been learning about the age of exploration and how tea originated in China, and they were kind of curious about what was a big deal about tea, and so one thing led to another, and so they learned some etiquette and some manners, and before we know
It's why
Oh,
we're the United States, it's because of tea.
Right.
Before you know it, Kathy Horton was involved, and she was going to bring all of her different dishes and stuff to the school, and they ended up doing it over in Kathy's house, and
Yeah.
it sounds like
I
they
about fell over when I said you all went to Mrs. Horton's house.
right.
Did
And
you touch anything?
right. What was interesting is because they went over etiquette the week before or something, and so when they showed up to school in like their Sunday best, no, they talked about the pinky and how that's not appropriate.
You're not supposed to stick it straight
You're
out.
not
You poke
supposed
yourself
to.
in the
So
eye.
they've talked about it, and then where to put the napkins on the left side. I don't know.
Hmm.
They were pretty excited about it, and they've had several more tea parties in their classroom since then on their own. So
Could they give our juniors and seniors some
possibly
etiquette
Possibly.
prom dinner?
Right? It would be. So she put some pictures on. There's a 5th grade page on Facebook, and so it was entertaining to see like them like smelling their tea. Like they were just in like the zen moment of Kathy Horton's house. I don't know. It was great.
Awesome.
It was great.
So it's kind of like wine.
Kind
Yeah.
of.
To swirl it around and
Less
smell
tannins.
it. Check the bouquet and see if it has legs or a body.
Well,
and-
I think she did a really good presentation because she has pictures
No, I
of
know,
like
it's real
her
big.
ancestry, like the family ancestry on her walls there, and so they
Mhm.
talked about different from like the 1630s coming back on different ships, and so it was a good overall lesson.
Very cool.
We are finishing up this week, all of us, with state assessments.
That's what I forget.
It's been a process to get everybody
Mine
assessed,
was the only one that didn't have everything in it.
but it's happening. We had
Still
an
don't like
internet
wine.
malfunction this last week, so that's been
Sore subject.
fun. And so that's required by the state of Kansas. So now, starting Monday, we'll start fast bridge testing, which is required by our accreditation process. So we thought we were done, but we're not. So we got to do them all again.
Last year on the fast food.
We got to do fast bridge 3 times a year. So fall, winter, spring. So this is our spring excitement. Kindergarten has been working on their famous plates for kindergarten, and those are getting shipped off, and they'll be coming back. So it's always a good tradition that was started. I'm not even sure how many years ago.
I still have mine.
Right. So they continue. So it's been good.
I'm still not a very good artist. In case anybody wondered.
Second grade is working on publishing a book that they're hoping that they can continue over the years too. Parents can actually purchase these books. There's a website that's with them, so hopefully they can get that going and keep it for a keepsake. So we had our school solar eclipse family night. We had about 175 people in attendance. PTO served hot dogs and different things, and Masons donated the food, and they purchased different materials. We had like activity books for all the kids, and so it was a good night. The school purchased solar eclipse glasses for the whole elementary, junior high, and high school, and so spent some good time out there looking at the sun on Monday. It was good.
It was kind of fun up at the high school. They were out on the decks and all over out there looking at the.
We weren't really sure when we first started talking about it, like who all would be involved and if they would even really care that much. But I think it was kindergarten through 12th grade. And the adults too were like kind of excited to see everything. So it was a good experience. So
Are you
we
gonna
have kindergarten roundup next Friday, and so we'll see what our numbers are there. But there should be good. I mean, I've heard all over the place where some people have been concerned that the numbers are down, but there's quite a few students that aren't in a preschool right now. So we have, like Mr. Stoddard said, around 25 incoming kindergartners. So we're excited. We'll find out for sure. But
Are you gonna send off the solar eclipse glasses, or did those go home with kids?
I think a little bit of both. Like a lot of them took them home. I have seen where we can send them down.
Send them on to the next
Eclipse
event
in the southern hemisphere.
Mm-hmm.
So
they can wear them with the Super Bowl t-shirts for the
maybe 10 minutes.
Niners.
10 minutes.
10,
7.5.
Second you say 7.5.
Okay, we'll move on to 224, executive sessions. Non-elected personnel or resignations, retirements, transfers, if needed. Negotiations, fall and winter coaches, certified staff. He said we need about 7 minutes for the first one.
You're the 7-minute guy.
I'm going to go into executive session for non-elected personnel for 7 minutes with board and admin.
We have a motion for 7 minutes executive session.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor? All opposed?
Mr. President, I move that we renew certified staff contracts as presented. Do that? Yep.
Fabulous.
As long as there's no edits to the list. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's presented, so. Okay.
Second,
My traffic at second.
a motion made and second, all those in favor? That's the list presented. All those opposed? We have one left, 226.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I second that.
And seconded, all those in favor?
Let's see here when you last.